What's up, everybody doing? This is Coach Renz. I apologize for being 15 minutes late. Had some difficulties this morning. Running just a wee bit behind. But that's all right. Gonna give a little time for people to get. Giving people just a few minutes. I gotta tell you, you was here last week where we discussed we did Genesis chapter. What are we on today? We're on 39 and 40. So I don't know how strong we come after chapter 38 now. With old Tamar. That was very strong. So we're going to do a recap here in just a second. Give people a little time to get on. So we're going to do a little bit of a recap. And then we'll get started. I appreciate everybody joining the channel. Hey, I would love for you to share, subscribe, especially to my YouTube channel, which is my name, Larenzo Reid, LarenzoReid. But to the YouTube channel, that'd be great. We are going to, so let's go ahead and get started. So just as a recap, and something that I said on the video that I posted yesterday, guys, if you want to know when I'm doing the live, then most of the time you will. I try to put a video out the day before to let you know that I'm doing the live, so that you would know around about what time we're going to do it. Thank you. I'm at my cigar lounge that I own, and that's actually why I'm running. I started 15 minutes late because my laptop was here at the cigar lounge, so I had to come over here to do it instead of doing it in my office at home. But I appreciate that. I don't follow any particular religion, Ali. I've studied to a certain degree most religions and a lot of philosophies and just understanding. But if you want to put things in the most perspective, the hermetics, science, critical thinking. But I've studied the different metaphysical laws and things of that nature. I study self. So, what are we talking about here? We started this process because people kept saying to me, like, you need to read your Bible. So I said, okay, let's read it. Let's read together. At least we're going to do Genesis. I don't know if we'll go beyond Genesis, but we're going to at least tackle Genesis. Now, once we get started, we want to keep the questions pertaining to what we're going through. And then at the end, we can do some other questions. Why do you think all religions have a hell? So that they can scare the shit out of people and keep them under control. But prior to the Romans taking over Christianity, prior religions didn't have a hell. Like there was no hell in Kemetic, Sumerian, Hindu, Buddhism. There was no hell, but they forced hell to keep you scared. I've read all kinds of philosophies from different philosophical studies. Even Buddhism is a philosophy. Taoism is a philosophy. Carl Jung, African parables. In studying Ifa, there's a lot of philosophy in Ifa. So just a lot of philosophies. But we're going to stick to the subject first. Let's get the subject first. Then we can get to some other questions. It's hard for me to not answer questions when I see them, but we're going to try to stick to the subject. So today, once again, so as a recap, we did chapter 37 and 38 of Genesis because people were like, you ain't read your Bible. So I said, okay, let's go ahead and let's read this thing. As a matter of fact, let's do it live and let's talk about it. Let's look at the different things that people are talking about. What jives and what doesn't jives. That sort of thing. Okay, I don't know what your deal is, Ali, at this point. Are you saying what, the miracles of the Bible? That's like, it's like I'm gonna catch it kind of question. So ain't got time for that. Yeah, you want to have a debate, you got a legit question, just ask the whole question. I don't do the catch it kind of stuff. So anyway, in 37 we learned about Joseph. We learned that he was a tattletale. We learned that his brothers didn't like him. We learned that he had these dreams and he was boastful about the dreams, and then he gonna tell on everybody. We learned that his daddy played I Have a Favorite Child, which is some horrible parenting. We talked about that. We talked about a lot of those things. We talked about him being sold into slavery. We talked about how Reuben tried to scam his brothers and say so he can look like the favorite son again. Then it just skipped into 38, where now we're going on this journey with Judah. So we skipped Joseph. We're like, oh, we're going to come back to Joseph, but we skipped Joseph. And then we go and talk about Judah and how, God just killed one dude because he didn't like him, said he was wicked, but didn't say why. And then the other son was jizzing on the floor, owning, and their weird little situation of who you got to marry, after that, if your brother doesn't provide a child. And then Tamar, who's supposed to be how Judah sleeps with a prostitute. Then Tamar is so righteous that because she poses as a prostitute to trick the father into trick the father into having Judah into having sex with her. We also saw another instance where a woman is not important because Judah's wife is not named. The only reason that Tamar is named and the only reason that story is told is because she had one son named Perez, who is a distant relative. If you look at the chronological order of Joseph, of Jesus' daddy, parenthood, lineage. So we went through that. And then the story, we're going to come back to Joseph. But if you want all the other details, the breakdowns, where other stories were that related to, then you have to go and Grand Rising Dwayne. What's up, bro? What's up, Randall? Then we have to go back. You asked, what are the miracles about? Because you're intellectual. Yeah, but I don't remember every miracle, man. It's like such a broad question. You got to ask me specific questions. I don't do vague questions. So I'm not being funny. I'm just saying. Vague question leaves a air of, skeptic. Makes you a little leery, put it that way. So specific questions. You have to talk a little bit louder, my brother. When you whisper, you can't hear anything. My bad, Chris. I ain't know I was whispering. All right. So I'll speak louder. Does everybody else hear me clearly? But I appreciate you letting me know, Chris. So, where are we at here? Now we're talking about Joseph, and we're going to get back to the story of Joseph after he's been sold. And remember, he was sold to some Ishmaelites, and then there was the Midianites who were a part of the Ishmaelites. Because if you remember, when we went through Esau's whole family, not Esau. This is way back in Genesis with Abraham, and when he had sex with Hagar, and they had Ishmael, and the Midianites are part of the Ishmaelites, and these are the cousins to Joseph and all his brothers. So now he was sold to them, and he was sold into Egypt. Right, it's according to the story. So we're going to read it, talk about it at different points. So it said that now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, brought him from the Ishmaelites whom had taken him there. Now I want you to understand, and this is not a big deal, but historically there is no such person named as Potiphar. There is nothing about a Potiphar. And historically, there's been nothing about Joseph. I'm going to say this next week when we do chapter 41 and 42. But Joseph historically is not, you can't find anything about it. As far as a 7-year famine and all that kind of stuff. And this Israelite who became, the Pharaoh's favorite. There's nothing in that. We don't have anything. So Potiphar being an official, because if Potiphar was an official to the king, you would think that there will be somewhere where he is named, but we haven't found anything where Potiphar has been named. So, but he was one of Pharaoh's officials according to this story, right? So, this would have been if it was real story during the time of Pharaoh. Well, some people call him Pharaoh Joseph or King Joseph. So you take your pick which one you want to go by, depending on what historian you're talking to. So the Lord, now this is going to be a repetitive thing. So the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. So remember, the Lord is with this dude, and he's prospering. If you're prospering, slavery is not prosperity. Now I know some Christians will say that, well, the reason why he had to go through this is so that the Hebrews could be saved in Egypt, but then they in Egypt, and then hundreds of years go by, and then Moses got to save them out of Egypt, because there was this famine. He could have just did it just like he did Abraham when there was a drought during the time of Abraham. They went to Egypt, they chilled for a little while, they left Egypt. Why we got to go through all of this? We got to go through all of this because Joseph is a part of the Jesus family line, and this is a hero story. All right. If you think about Joseph when he first started, he's a sniveling little brat of a kid. He's going to come into maturity and then realize his greatness. It's the hero's journey, but he got to go through the struggle. So this is the struggle part of the hero's journey for Joseph. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord gave him success in everything that he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes, and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessings of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had to Joseph's care with Joseph in charge. He did not concern himself with anything except the food that he ate. Now, when you first read this, if you're like a person, if you're deconstructing yourself from the Bible, the first thing that you may think when it says that, Potiphar, you would think that why would Potiphar accept that? Potiphar has his own gods. He's an Egyptian. Doesn't know who he's worshiping, doesn't specifically say who his worship falls under. If he's a true Egyptian of that era, then his worship would have been, he would have understood the idea of the octode, and then the octode having 4 parts, and within 4 parts there's the masculine and the feminine, making 8 parts, making 16 parts, and then from the 16 the cosmic egg was created, which manifested Ra in the matter plane of existence. If he was a true Egyptian, he would have understood that that's what he would have followed, that's what he believed, and that every other deity that you see in the Kemetic science is merely an aspect of the octode, the one supreme creative energy. So Potiphar, when you are just deconstructing and you don't want to fully grasp one aspect of the cultural time frame, is that he would have accepted that. Well, you would first think that why would he ever accept that that's the Lord? He wouldn't accept that that's the Lord because he has his own gods. But you have to understand that these people at this time frame, unlike how we do today. Now, one thing we can learn from this, unlike how people do today, especially a lot of people on my Facebook, because this is Facebook over here, this is YouTube in front, and that's TikTok over there on my left. That's my left. Back then, people accepted that other people's gods existed. Unlike today, how people will go around and they will chastise you and say that your God is evil, your God is Satan, you don't have a God. Like I've told people, especially this one lady on Facebook, and I've said on several videos, it's not that I don't believe that there is a creator. I do. I just don't believe in the aspect or the version of the creator that you believe in. And I don't believe that this is his inaccurate word. That's why one of the reasons why we're reading this, we point out some of the inaccuracies like we did before when we showed that Terah is he's a son of Eliphaz in Chronicles, but then he's a concubine of Eliphaz, and he's a girl and a concubine of Eliphaz in Genesis. Just inaccuracies. So, but the people of that day just accepted that your God exists, and your God was real and didn't try to downgrade you or downgrade your God. That's what Potiphar is demonstrating here. And I didn't get that when I was younger. When I was younger, I was like, Potiphar wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have accepted this. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. But I realized that no, the culture of the people of that day, they accepted everybody else's God without trying to trample on the other people. So when you read this part, understand that Potiphar would say, okay, shit, your God is blessing my household. So you know what? I'm gonna rock with you. I'm gonna get down with you, dude. So this part is not a crazy thought process, but it should open you up to understand that people respected other people's God. It's not until you get actually these Hebrews where people start getting into this mentality, that there is only one God, and my God, and your God is the devil, or your God is evil, or your God don't exist, your God is that, this, that, and the third. All other civilizations in the Mesopotamia accepted everybody else's God. Actually, that was actually a common thought process all over the world during most of the time frame. And then, of course, European colonialism jacked that all the way up, where they even went and changed people's religions, because Hinduism is not polytheistic, but Christian missionaries told them that their religion is polytheistic, and so they believe that they're polytheistic. Hurricane. Now, Joseph was we're finna get a little sexy right now. So I'm gonna change my voice a little bit. Now, Joseph was a well-built and handsome. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, come to bed with me. But he refused. With me in charge, he told her, my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? And though she spoke to Joseph after that day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. So, greeting, how y'all doing? Saying what's wrong, either God, all while smoking. Oh, so Jewel, do you eat meat? I like to ask that question to people. First of all, cigars are not in hell. That's why cigar smokers don't get cancer. And if you believe that Hinduism is polytheistic, then you have not researched Hinduism at all and just going based on what other people have told you. And if you're Indian and you believe that Hinduism is polytheistic, you have not ridden yourself of what Europeans came into your heritage country and convinced you of. So you might want to go back and research Hinduism before you make that claim, because it's not. Every sub-deity, as they are called now, of the Hinduism is an aspect of Brahma, the one supreme God, the God that all others come out from. Because if I was a Hindu person, I can say that you Christians are polytheistic because y'all got angels. And in your book, you're bowing down to those angels all the time. Okay? So you want to go back and think about that. And like I said, for the person who's talking about me smoking a cigar, if you eat meat, which I don't, you're putting more poison in your body than anything else that I could possibly do. Your gastric system, your immune system is too busy fighting your gastric system. Look, dude, saying I have a Hindu girl is like a white person saying I got a black wife, so I can't be racist. I have a Hindu girl doesn't make you an expert on Hinduism. So I hate when people do stuff like that. So you need a better rationale if you're going to say that one. But you just may be just saying that you have a Hindu girl just to say it. So let me just shut the hell up on that. My bad if I insulted you. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those guys that just sit by lightly and let people just say any old goddamn old thing. You know, you got to come with something. Christianity is polytheistic. You was raised in Hinduism, but like I said, Hindus allowed for the Europeans to come in and change their religion. You got to go back and go deeper than what they did. What you got to go back before colonialism to understand true Hinduism. Just like Egypt, the Kemetic science is not polytheistic. There is one God that all other comes from. The meta natures are just aspects. I don't know why that's. We got to understand that. Now, like I said, you got to come with deeper stuff. So let's get back to the subject, and then we can get into that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love going through all the questions and different topics. I do love that. But let's try to get through this part. Then we can really get into that. Yeah. Let me see something though, real quick, people, real quick. See, that's what I'm saying. See, Jewel want to make comments about me smoking a cigar. This is why I say you got to, if you're a person who's a deconstruction, or even if you are someone who's, yes, I am dark worker. I am something. Even if you are, if no matter what you believe, no matter what you're standing on, you need to know your stuff. Person want to say something about me smoking a cigar. What they don't know is I used to be a personal trainer and I'm a master nutritionist. Also, learning a lot more about herbalism. But the thing about it is this. When you put diabetes, it's primarily caused by all the meat that you eat. People are thinking that it's about all the sugars that you put in your body, but you got to realize that the meat that you put in your body, that if it is not absorbed, everybody think it immediately goes to fat, but no, most of the time it turns to sugar first. So eating meat also is sitting in your digestive tract, and your immune system is wasting all this energy fighting and the toxins in your digestive tract instead of making your body healthy. So eating meat is far more harmful to your body than this goddamn on cigar. But if you want to sit there and say that you can't learn from somebody because they smoke a cigar, because in your culture you have said, oh, eating meat, I know it's killing us, but I'm gonna still do it. And I can learn from a person who eats meat. Well, but a person smoking a cigar because society has said something about that, then all of a sudden you can't, you got to try to throw that dart. So Jewel, even though you ain't got nothing else to say after I asked you, did you eat meat? Here's the thing. Damn it, I've lost my train of thought. But you ain't got nothing else to say because I said that. But here's the thing. Stop looking at exactly what a person does and look at the information. If you can't attack the information, you don't have a valid point, then don't try to attack a person personally. Some of the people who taught me the most stuff were the homeless guys in the library. When I was coming up and I was researching this stuff, when I was from like 9 on up, those homeless guys were the guys that taught me the most in those early years. Should I have discredited them because they were homeless? You see, we got to get out of those kinds of mindset. Okay? Got to get out of there. Now, we can talk about Hinduism on a different day because I would love to talk about Hinduism. Because actually, I do like Hinduism quite a bit. There's a Hindu temple right up the street. It is one of the best places to go meditate. Best places to go meditate. Right. We've been smoking since we get down. I know I went off on a tangent. It's just when people jump on like attack, go for the information. Stop going for like little like let me get this little quick hit. I'd rather you just talk about me being black or something. That dumb shit. Anyway, so we was talking about, so now Potiphar's wife, and this is the part that everybody knows. Potiphar's wife comes up. She's like, man, you look good. I want some of that poom poom. I want to give you some of this poom poom. I'm sorry, TikTok, my phone keep on ringing because I bought like 2-3 new websites and they give you information to everybody. But he refused. Now notice that he first refused because he said, you my master's wife. Basically, my master gave me everything in this house. So just as in the time, like most people will know, like Roman times, slaves, servants, you used to get that. But you think Abraham, Sarah said, hey, Sleep with Hagar. He did. Rachel, Leah, both of them. Sleep with my two servants. I know Bilhah and I forgot the other one's name. So it was a slave in your house was also a sex slave in your house. They always come in threes: Abraham, Joseph, and Jacob, like Isis, Horus. Yeah, they're three is a magic number. But the slaves were also your sex partners. I just read these chapters, cool. So when he says that my master has not withheld anything from me, he's also talking about that pum pum he's been getting from the other servants. He's been able to get any and all of that he chooses. But he can't sleep with her because he's like, no, one, you the master's wife. Now notice the first thing he said, you his wife. Not it's wicked and it's a sin against God. That comes later. The first thing he said, now you my master's wife. I can't get you. You might be fine, but I can't get down with that. So he turned her down. Then one day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, come to bed with me. But he left his cloak in her hands and ran out the house. I hope his cloak was just a jacket and he ran out the house butt ass naked, but she ran out the house. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hands and ran out of the house, she called her household servants. Look, she said to them, this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out the house. So she lying. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Then she told him this story. That Hebrew slave you brought came to me to make sport of me. Now, to make sport of me means to make fun of me, right? But she told him that she wanted to sleep with him. But as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out the house. So we know she lied. Now, I want you to notice that they never, again, when I tell people that the Bible doesn't respect women, there are plenty of examples. Here again, most women are abused, they're slaves. In this instance, she's lying. Most women are not put in a good light in this Bible. So Potiphar's wife is not put in a good light. One of the ways that you always know that yes, everybody does have a truth for you. Everybody learn. One of the ways you can the Bible will never name a woman unless she's important, unless she has something to do. Now, I would think that Potiphar's wife was important. She plays an important role here, but she is not named. It goes out of its way to make sure that women are hardly ever named in this book. All right. Hey, Anita. So, just want to throw that out there that they don't want to name this woman, but she is important. She's playing an important role, but she's lying on old boy. His master heard the story. His wife told him, saying, this is how your slave treated me. He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, which gives you an idea of how important Potiphar would have been, that if anybody that Potiphar put in prison would go to the same prison that the Pharaoh or the king's people that he puts in prison would go. So why is this man Potiphar not on any stele, on any metaneture? He's nowhere to be found in Egypt, in modern day Egypt. Can't find him anywhere. He's not on anybody's list. We know the names of people like Amotep, who wasn't a king, but he was a advisor. He was, a physician. We know about these people, but we know about architects, but we don't know about this dude, who obviously played an important role during what should have been a very important time in the Kemetic history, but we don't hear anything about it. But you got a guy in your house who's been prosperous for you, and your money is good. Your wife make a claim, and you just automatically, I'm taking my wife's side. I wanted to be on this podcast last night where they were talking about simps. Potiphar was a simp. This man is risking everything he owned. Because if he believed that Joseph was an omen, a godsend, you just gonna throw this man out your house. You didn't even investigate, didn't even ask a question. Potiphar's a simp. Just like when we get to Samson and Delilah, Samson was a simp. Potiphar, simp too. Like when I talked about Abraham and him pimping Sarah twice, simp. Be jokers. But these are the men that these people are want you to follow. But while Joseph was in prison, the Lord was with him. Again, what is this with the Lord is with him? You keep getting, your life is going down the tube, but the Lord is with you. Now, what you think about, that's a good way to keep people under control, though. The majority of people's lives are not as luxurious as they would want. They're not as happy as they would want to be. But if I keep telling you stories where people are going through all these horrible things, slavery and false accusations, going to prison, but the Lord was with them. So these are control mechanisms that are put in literature in order to keep the audience on that person's side and so that they can identify with that person. The Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison. He was well, I don't know what, I've never been to prison, but what is that? The prisoners that they help out with the guards, they help run the prison. I forgot what those inmates are called. So I guess he becomes that guy, the head guy of that. And he showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the prison warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. Now, tell me if that doesn't sound like the biggest crock of propaganda. What prison warden is just going to say, hey, inmate 35, the Lord is with you. I like you. You handsome. Even though you're accused of raping Potiphar's wife or attempted raping Potiphar's wife, you good. I ain't going to pay attention to nothing else that's going on. That is so unlikely that a prison warden just going to let this dude have it. But this is why it's propaganda. Because when they tell the story, they got to make the story so that God has always been with this family line and that he's always prospered, that no matter what they've been through, God has always been there to redeem them and to bring them out of their situation, no matter how difficult it gets. Because you know how people run around today talking about God would never put more on you than you can bear, even though that's not what that scripture actually says. It says that you're not actually it talks about you're not actually supposed to bear anything, that God provides an escape for you. So you're not even supposed to bear the burden. But people want to take up their cross, which just means stand firm on your faith of whatever you believe in, and even if you got to die for it, and that everybody is supposed to do that. But these kind of stories make people think that all the shit that they taken in life, they're supposed to bear it, keep it, weigh it down, and still go through because they got favor with their God. Because look at what happened to Joseph. His brothers hated him. His father got a little skeptical on that second drink. Then they threw him in the pit. They were going to kill him. Then they decided to sell him into slavery. He gets in there, but he's a good slave. He's a good house Negro, as we would say. But then the woman, she want that poom poom. She want that dang-a-lang. But he says no. Now he gets charged with rape. Now he's in prison. But the Lord was kind to him because in prison, he had the good cell. He got the good food. He was in charge of things. So it really wasn't like prison for him because he was running stuff. I think the major problem with the Bible is folks can take it literally as literal truth. Most churches teach it that way. I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years young, and Can't get past the talking snakes and that. Yeah, I'm with you. Why you guys always fixated on race? Stop manipulating the Bible. Just read it, dude. That's what we're doing. We're reading it, and guess what? It ain't transformed no heart. I've read the Bible more than 50 times. I've studied it scholastically for decades. My heart hasn't been changed. All right. If anything, it has proven itself to be more invalid than before. I had a room full of Christians in here last night, ones that I could talk to. And I asked them, I said, hey, how many of you have read through the entire book, front to back? One. Only one. Now that person happened to have went to seminary. I said, okay, you've been to seminary, so you studied the Bible more so than most. But I asked him, I said, how many people that you know of who's read the whole book that's actually studied it scholastically? He said he didn't know any. Appreciate it, Errol. Errol gave a donation on YouTube. I appreciate that, brother. I really do. He said he doesn't know any, if not all. Then I asked him how many have studied it into deep scholastic levels where you can recognize where something changes within the book. He himself said he doesn't know anybody other than his professor. And then you're saying you guys are always fixated on race. We didn't create the race. I don't know. You look white. You might be white. I'm not sure if you are, but your people are the one who created race. Your people are the one who then use that creation of race to get the poor white people on their side so that they can think that they're better than everybody else in the world when they realize that there were more people of color in the world than they were. They utilize that to torment people, to steal their resources, to degrade them, to steal their heritage, steal their name. And then they use that to enact laws to keep them subservient and make them slaves. And then they use laws to keep them even more subservient after they claim that they are so benevolent that they're going to get rid of slavery. They use those same laws and even statistics to try to make it seem like Black people and other people of color are not doing or just not taking advantage of the opportunities. But yet they have things like redlining, where they've said that any white person can get a house, but Black people cannot get a house, thereby creating creating even more wealth separation in this country, at least. And then after that, they use the highway system to destroy prosperous Black towns. Then they use their own systems also to flood Black towns. So tell me again why we keep bringing up race. Because your forefathers and the system that you are participating in today still perpetuates a system that makes it more difficult for Black people to prove either how equal, unequal, or above that they are for anybody. For anybody. So y'all stop using race, we'll stop bringing up race. How about that? You killing your body. Okay, look, we already went through the cigar thing. You killing your body by eating meat. And if you tell me you eat meat, I already know you eat meat. So you stop eating meat. I bet you we went and got blood tests. I'm healthier than you because I just had mine done. We better stop killing ourselves. Hey man, everybody kills everybody. I lived in this town of Alpharetta, predominantly white. 99% of the murders were white people killing white people. I don't know. Walking tall. You might be healthier than me. I spent years in the Marine Corps. I know I got bone degeneration. So you probably are healthier than me. My body is, you might be. But this ain't the problem. And that ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about. You know what? I'm going to ignore these people who want to talk about cigars. This ain't my cigar channel. You want to talk about cigars, go to my cigar channel. Oh, you're an athlete? Okay, man, don't even try it. Come on now. I'm 51 years old. I'm 51. Okay. My athletic days they're gone. They're gone. We don't do that anymore. We just go lift weights and work out. Oh, then you want to say you're 54? Y'all see what he's trying to do over here? Facebook, YouTube, you see what Walking Tall trying. He's 54. I'm running 3 businesses right now. I don't have that time, that luxury. So I applaud you. You have that luxury. So anyway, back to the story. Now we're gonna get into Genesis 40. All right. And then we'll get to some other stuff. All right. All right, walking tall, you're an athlete, you're a preacher, you're a business owner. Hey man, I applaud you. I applaud you. You might be healthier than me, but this ain't the problem. You're not my biggest health issue. It's bone deterioration from the Marine Corps years. So anyway, as we continue, sometime in chapter 40, and then we can get into, after we go through chapter 40, see now, okay, I was going to get into it, but see, this is where me and you going to differ, walking tall. You said that's right, and Jesus has blessed me. You know what? I respect that. I respect that. If that's how you feel, if that's what you believe, and that's what I was saying. I don't know if you was on here earlier. The difference between people today and the people back during the time frame of Joseph, they respected other people's belief. They didn't try to downgrade their belief. They didn't try to force other people to believe what they believe. You know, and the whole reason that we're doing this is because people kept coming on to my channel. You know, you're not my audience. If you believe in Christianity or Islam or whatever, you're not my audience. That's not who I'm talking to. Right? Now, when you say that you're healthy because Jesus bless you, then why is your church filled with a whole bunch of unhealthy people? And if you're a black preacher, the majority of your church probably got, hypertension, facing heart disease, facing diabetes, all these different things. But if all it takes is being blessed by Jesus to be in great health and have business and all that, then those people wouldn't have those issues. So what it really takes to be healthy is that you get out and exercise. I get up in the morning, I go downstairs to my gym, I work out. I eat healthy. I don't eat meat. I drink like more than a gallon of water every day. And then there are certain fruits and vegetables that I eat every day. I make sure I get all my vitamins and minerals and my sea moss and all this kind of stuff in my system. For what my body has been through, dude, don't do that. Don't say we have a health ministry. Other people doing it. Because when I go to churches and I do business training at different churches, one of the things I pinpoint, a health ministry is worthless if the overwhelming majority of people are not participating in it. All right? If they're not participating in it, then what's the benefit of the health ministry? And then to say that I'm blessed because of Jesus, I used to work with a Hindu guy. He was in great, phenomenal shape, had a great business. I mean, I say I worked with him, I actually worked for him, right? Had a great business. He was having problems getting his family, his wife over and his son from India. He prayed. It was in October. I forgot the moon cycle that was in, but it was important. And he prayed to his Hindu deities during that time frame. And then his wife and them came. He gave all the credit to his deity in the same way you do it towards Jesus. But is it the fact that he filed all the right paperwork, that they went through the process, and that's why they showed up? Is it the fact that you exercise, you keep yourself active, you eat well, you do all these things? Because as a master trainer, I know that 25% is your genetic, but 75% is your environment. So is it cause and effect, or is it some sky daddy Geppetto-ing your life? It's cause and effect. Okay. And then the arrogance. Bro, if you knew who you were speaking to, but do you know who you're speaking to? I'm wealthy and healthy. That's good. Great. Might need to get a little humility if you know who you speak to. So anyway, we're going to get back to the subject. We're going to get to the subject. That's good. The Bible diet is actually a really good diet. I'm a proponent of that, bro. That's a really good diet. All right. Sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their master, the king of Egypt. God, these people don't stop calling me. Sorry, on TikTok, we started a photography company and another company, and I bought the websites for it, and getting all these calls. Pharaoh was angry at his two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Now, as we get into this, I want you to understand that there's a difference between a chief cupbearer and a baker. There are some people who think that the cupbearer is merely the person who brings the king his wine or whatever liquid that they're drinking. But the cupbearer actually had much greater responsibilities. The cupbearer's responsibility was also to make the taste the food, taste the drink, make sure that the food was prepared properly, but also to make sure it wasn't poisoned. So oftentimes the cupbearer is very close to whoever their master is, whoever their king is, or their rich person they're working for, whatever. But it's a very important job. This is one of the most trusted people in their court. There's a reason why I'm telling you this, because I'm comparing this to the chief baker. The chief baker is important, but the chief baker is not as important as the cupbearer. This is why the story is written. It's good fictional writing, and we're going to get into it. So I just want you to have that in mind as we go through this part of who's more important. The chief cupbearer is more important than the chief baker. Saying, put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the same prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, and I want you to notice that the writers were smart enough not to tell you which king of Egypt or which pharaoh of Egypt, because if they did, you'd be able to check and validate this story, right? You'd be able to validate this story. I will answer that question. Why would you try to reach? I mean, I guess you mean teach the Bible. I'm not trying to teach the Bible, first of all, if it's not real. That's an oxymoron. That's oxymoronic. As I said in the very beginning, I am what they are now calling a deconstructionist of the Bible for people who have decided to walk away from the Bible. Yeah, I do not. If I hadn't got thrusted into this light of, and it's all Kevin's fault, for those who remember Kevin, I would not even be teaching this. I originally make my videos of deconstructing religion and understanding the laws of the universe. I originally made them for my kids, so that my kids, yes, I am a traveling man. I made them for my kids so that if I ever pass on, my kids have my knowledge and they can choose to do with it whatever they will. I just happened to meet this guy, Kevin, and now I'm doing this shit. But it's good because there are I used to think that I was alone when I was like 12, 15, 20, 30, that nobody else was like me. But then to find an audience, a family that went through the same thing, it's reassuring. So we're just going through this just to reaffirm, to stack up why we don't follow the book. I'm not even going to get into a conversation with you about masonry, dude. You got to be a mason to know masons. So, but anyway, they didn't want to tell you who this pharaoh is, who this king of Egypt is, because if they did, you'd be able to validate whether or not this story okay. Anyway, you'd be able to validate whether or not this story was true or not. When we get into chapter 41 next week, we're going to talk about more archaeology that lends to the idea that this story is fabricated from previous stories. So, in the prison they were being held. After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker and the king of the king of Egypt, who were being held in prison, had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of his own. Let me check the time. When Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. So he asked Pharaoh's officials. Now, it's interesting how they keep going from king of Egypt to Pharaoh, because there was a time frame where Egypt had kings, and then they went from kings to pharaohs. These weren't interchangeable terms. So, which we'll get more into next week as to why this story is just fiction and propaganda and made up history for the Hebrew people who were held in custody with him in his master's house. Why do you look so sad today? We both had dreams, they answered, but there was no one to interpret them. Joseph said to them, do not interpretation belong to God? Tell me your dreams. Now, this is one of the first times. This is one of those times where I give you an example of how it's proper. These Hebrew people were one of the first ones to start not respecting other people's religion, whereas the Mesopotamian people generally respected each other's religions. So he says, "Not is up to God," or he could have just meant you got to be a godly person, regardless of what God you believe in. But because we know what this religion had did, we got a pretty good idea. Okay. You were amazing. Please don't pray for me. I always ask people who say they pray for me, don't pray for me. I don't want your prayers. Because your prayers are not in agreement with how I decide to live my life. So please don't pray for me. I'm asking you since you were a brother, I'm asking you as a brother, don't pray for me. I'm asking you not to pray for me. So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream, and he said to him, in my dream, I saw a vine in front of me. And on the vine, there were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup and put the cup in his hand. And it's going to be a major swerve that I'm going to tell you, because Joseph, you know how y'all see the psychic people and, they come, what was her name? God, dog, what? Now, Walking Tall, you can help me with this one. What was the fake Jamaican lady who was on the phone? You call her up, and she was the fake astrologist lady. Call me now. This Joseph in the pool. Call me now on these people. Because one of the things that I've come to realize is that if I interpret dreams, but let's say I follow Ifa, right? Because Ifa is very big about dreams. Well, a lot of religions are big about dreams. Let's say I follow Ifa. And I interpret somebody's dream, and their dream came true. And there was a Christian person. They interpret that person's dream, their dream came true. But my interpretation, Miss Cleo, thank you, Miss Cleo. My interpretation came from the devil, whereas their interpretation came from God, the true God. It's this thing where people, they can do the exact same thing as somebody else. Like there's astrology all throughout the Bible, and it's okay because it's in the Bible and it's God's people doing it. But when somebody else does it, it's evil. Right? Joseph was black, and he said, I will agree that Joseph was black if he existed, but there's no proof that. But everybody in that region was people of color, so it don't matter. They were all brown and dark skinned. But if you were in this instance, okay, so now Joseph, he just told him what his dream was, right? And he said, this is what it means. Joseph said, the 3 branches are 3 days. And this is why there's a swerve. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the swerve part a little bit. There is black presence in the Bible. You're absolutely right. I do not disagree with you. Joseph knew because the Pharaoh was getting ready to have a birthday celebration. So he know in 3 days there's a celebration. Just like when the president of the United States, that on their last term, presidents always do pardons, right? They did the same kind of thing throughout the world, where kings, pharaohs, important people, they would have these benevolence during celebratory times, or if they're about to go out of office or things like that. So he knew in 3 days. So, because I used to wonder, as like, why did he pick 3 days? Why wouldn't he give himself more time? Say, well, in 3 weeks, or in 3 months, or in 3 years. But because he knew Pharaoh was getting ready to have this celebration, so he said in 3 days, or the 3 branches of 3 days. Now, I've heard some Christian pastors say that the 3 days represents the 3 days that, Jesus was in Gethsemane, where in Sheol. But to me, that's doctrine that they're reaching for. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. Now, I don't know why this was a hard dream that they saying the cupbearer saying there was nobody to interpret. All right, man. Have a great day. Walk tall. Good journey, good vibrations. You're right. You can't be a Mason and not believe in God. But you don't have to be a Christian to be a Mason. Masonry accepts people who believe. You just have to believe in a higher being. But you don't have to. Yes, modern day Masonry is based off the Bible. But prior to England, it was based off Egypt. But only because England took over, that's why it's based off the Bible. You know that it was, if you became a Shriner, then that means you took on an Islamic name too, bro. Yeah, that part. We can chat. I don't mind, but you understand. Anyway, so it's easy to interpret this dream. It's easy to interpret this dream, and because everything in the dream was favorable. So I don't know why he's saying that there was nobody to interpret the dream. But I guess because he's in jail, he's thinking like, oh, hell, can't nothing good come. But then Joseph pulled his sword. But when all things go well with you, remember me. Show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. I gave you a favorable dream. Peace, bro. Favorable dream. Hey, man, you're going to be back with the Pharaoh. Hook me up when you get there. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here, I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon. And he didn't. That chick kind of screwed him over. When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top baskets were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket of my head. Again, this is not a hard dream. It's not. I don't know why Miss Cleo could have divined this dream. But the writers are going to write. This is what it means, Joseph said. The 3 baskets are 3 days again. Why? Because Pharaoh is having a party in 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole. And the birds, they will eat away your flesh. Now, the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday. Okay, now can anybody tell me, would that have been hard for you to figure out? That if you sitting there in prison, but you in charge of the prison, you that good inmate, whatever the inmates call that run the prison, for the warden, you gonna know what's going on. Matter of fact, you in the prison that the captain of the guard for the Pharaoh. So you really know what's going on. You know the Pharaoh's tendencies. You know what they're gonna do. Somebody gives you these 2 dreams. It's fairly easy to interpret these dreams. So this is a Miss Cleo swerve. Because just taking their information, knowing what job they had, who they served, it's easy to figure out this one. It's easy. Right? But if I'm a trustee, thank you, LB. But the thing about it is that if I'm writing a narrative that's propaganda in order to make my people look good, yeah, I'm going to make it where these Egyptians are so stupid they couldn't figure out this dream. But my guy can. And in prison, he's the trustee. He everything. He's good. So the Pharaoh was on the third day. The Pharaoh was the Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he once again put the cup into the Pharaoh's hand. But he impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had said to them in their interpretation. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. Now, as I said in the very beginning of this chapter, the chief cupbearer is one of the most trusted people in the king's court. So if I had to divine who the Pharaoh is going to show favoritism towards between the baker and the cupbearer, is quite simple. The cupbearer. The cupbearer has a deeper relationship with the king and the baker. The cupbearer is the one that the king talks to more often, that he knows more about, that he's shown favoritism towards, because this dude is tasting the food to make sure it's not poison. He's watching over everybody. He's watching over the chief baker to make sure that he's not doing anything jacked up. So obviously, it's an obvious choice to write the narrative in such a way that the cupbearer is the one who gains favor. And it just showed that Joseph, understanding this, he swerves these guys in an effort to try to get himself free. But of course, it didn't work. So all we really learn from this story is that this is the hero's journey of Joseph. Because Joseph started out jacked up, was living good, was a spoiled brat, have to go through some stuff. And in the next couple of chapters is going to be his heroes when he rises to his hero and he matures into his heroic personality. But again, none of this can be validated. Not one aspect of this can be validated. And you would think that if Egypt went through the undertaking that, and I'm going to repeat this next week, went through the undertaking of the seventh feast and 7 years of feasting and 7 years of famine, that would have been on a stele somewhere. That would have been on the walls and on the Meta Netter somewhere. They keep making sure that they don't tell you who the Pharaoh is or the king is, that they keep interchanging because they don't want you to know and be able to validate this. Right? It doesn't take me a lot of energy to do this at all, really. For me, it comes easy. Some people it may be hard, but for me, it comes easy. But now we're going to get into our question and answer. You're only 51, but you can deconstruct something that stood the test of time. Yeah, why not? That would be like saying that since the Europeans believed that the earth was flat, that Galileo was too young to deconstruct their ideas of the earth being flat because something that they had believed for thousands of years. Information is just information. Objective truth is just objective truth. The difference between me and most people is that I don't have any emotional attachments that I have to be right. This man just said the earth is flat. How do you know it's round? I will engage in this one. Shall we engage? Let's engage. How do you know it's round? How do you know the earth is flat? Why? Because he said that Jesus was taken up on the top of the mountain. He can see all the kingdoms of the earth. Flat earthing is interesting. It wasn't even a big thing again until about 60 years ago. Okay, bruh. Like I'm gonna tell you. So I own a cigar lounge. One of my businesses is a cigar lounge in Stone Mountain, Georgia. This lounge, the one I'm in. Woo! We had a flat earther in here one day. Man, when I tell y'all, that shit was so funny. And he was getting so mad, and all his points I was just knocking them down left and right. But anyway, he was just joking. I might like you walking the dog. Actually, I wouldn't have it. I have most of my friends are religious people, and we have mutual respect for each other, which is one of the things I wish we would learn from these stories. Is that in the Old Testament is that for the most part, people had mutual respect. What up, Israel? Oh, y'all don't know it. That's Mayretta. That's Mayretta right there. I'm from Mayretta, Georgia. That's Mayretta right there. Right, and that's what I was gonna say. Isaiah tells you that the world is round, so how can you believe it's flat if you're a Christian? There's no. Don't you do a software update on my phone right now. There's never been any physical proof of curvature of the earth to prove that it's round. There's more physical proof of that than there is physical proof that it's flat. And the fact that I've kind of been around this joint, yeah. And I've been to places that most people have never been to. The earth is not flat. Katie. Is it Katie? Oh. Yeah, Kate. Caitlin. Oh, Caitlin. Sorry. I try to pronounce people's names correct. But one of the things I wish people did learn from this book, because like I tell everybody, I am not a 100% person against everything in the Bible. Nor am I 100% against everything in the Quran or 1% everything in the Vedics, in the Tao. I separate cultural biases and patriarchal biases from reality, from what could be spiritual, what is good wisdom. In this book, Potiphar and the warden showed that they just respect other people's religions and other people's gods in this story. Why can't we have that today? Why can't we have it where if I choose not to be a Christian, and Israel Cook over here on Facebook can attest to it, maybe be able to attest to it. When I was growing up in Mayretta, I was called all kind of names, demon, devil, prison knowledge, all this stuff, because I didn't believe in the Christian God. People hated you. In Mayretta, if you didn't belong to a church or a mosque, you were an outcast. Instead of people just accepting it. Right? It's people just accepting it. But they're flat, round, oblique. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, the shape of the earth really don't matter. Even if we did know it, even if it was flat, even if it was round, even if it was a rectangle, what does it matter really? Right? But every religion is supposed to teach this love and respect. But instead of people having love and respect for somebody's disagreement, they get angry, they get mad. Now, I understand some people get angry and mad because I deconstruct the Bible, even though I tell them over and over again, I'm not talking to you. Scroll past this. Go to the next video. Listen to people that you agree with. My audience is my children and people who think like I think, or people who are just curious. Now, if you are one of those people, like I know who I can have a conversation in this lounge about religion and who I can't. Those that I can't, I respect their belief, and so we don't have those discussions in here. But if the right group is in here, I know that we can have a discussion about religion and nobody's going to walk out but hurt, because those people are concrete in their belief. And this is a theory of mine, right? If you are concrete in your belief, in your faith, it doesn't matter what I say, right? Hey, Kiki, it doesn't matter what I say. You're good, and you should not get offended. The people who become offended are those who are not as concrete in their belief, because they require other people to support their belief in order for them to have their belief. And that is to say, they believe in heaven and hell, for one. This is just an example. They believe in heaven and hell. And when a person, hey, Monica, believes in heaven and hell, they need you to believe in heaven or hell as well, to validate them getting into heaven, because they believe that if they are wrong, then they cannot accept that they could possibly be wrong. And they love to say, oh, but what if you're wrong? Then you're going to hell. If I'm wrong, I lose nothing. Well, I always ask them at that point, what if the Muslims are right? If the Muslims are right, then you going to Muslim hell. I don't know if y'all ever read about Muslim hell. Muslim hell ain't that fun, but you going to Muslim hell. If anything, you better hope that if you're wrong, you better hope that the Jews are right, and that you just have total separation from the Creator, that you cease to exist, that you now have no existence. So there's no torture, and you wouldn't know what the hell going. You wouldn't even know, because you wouldn't exist. You better hope that they right if you are wrong. If I'm wrong, I hope the Jews are right. I damn sure don't want the Christians or the Muslims to be right. Hell no. Although, and this is a whole nother conversation, hell in the way that it exists today in the minds of Christians did not exist until around it didn't start beginning to exist in that format until around 480 CE, but really grew into its maturity around 1000 CE. Because when they start linking it to Hades and linking it to the hermetic underworld, and then they started getting this whole torture and all this kind of stuff. But prior to that, it was just you ceased existing. There was no torment, because in the ancient Christian mind, a good God would not torment people forever. So it didn't mix. It wasn't working. But once the Romans got their hands on it, they changed the game. They changed the whole game on that thing. So here's the deal, people. I'm at my lounge. I got other videos to shoot. So for this live, I have a max at 11:30 is a hard stop. I got a couple of short videos I want to shoot before people start showing up. So if we have any questions, now we can talk about anything. I know I probably missed a bunch of stuff that other people was asking and talking about. I'm a fine walking tall. We're gonna have a conversation. He gonna smoke a cigar. Oh, he was talking about a lot of stuff. Okay, that's him talking about it. So if anybody got any questions, let's talk about stuff. And different thing. I've never done this. I've never done it where I know on TikTok it allows people to join in with you. If somebody on TikTok want to join in with me, I can only do it on TikTok. I don't know how to do it on Facebook, or I don't see where you can do that on Facebook or YouTube. Beautiful Texas, beautiful land. Texas goddess. Hey girl, how you doing? Thank you, I appreciate it. You should come visit. I'm gonna tell that to everybody. If you did want to support the channel, I appreciate Errol on YouTube. He donated on the channel on YouTube. But if you want to support my businesses, that is even greater. You can go to Smoking Phoenix Cigars and cigars.com and order my cigar that I make. Or you can go to Uncle Renz Popcorn and order popcorn. All right. What can I do okay. Elba says, what can she do to reconnect to Earth? I'm gonna tell you two things. I'm gonna tell you one, the one that most people will say and it's cool and that whatever. The first thing is grounding. Grounding will be your first step. And grounding is simply going outside, no shoes, letting your feet feel the earth. Yes, Uncle Renz Popcorn. Thank you, Kiki. But going outside, grounding and meditating, but really opening your chakras, and especially your lower chakras, so that you can get in vibration of the earth. Cutting meat out of your diet also helps. Taking walks, spending a lot of time in nature. You'll start to reconnect with the energy of the earth. Now, you want to do it away from power lines and all that. That's why you want to get out into some wilderness. Now, let me say this with all clarity. I am not, thank you, Kiki. I am not telling anybody to do this. But one of the ways I've reconnected to the earth, and I'm gonna get to your question, Texas Goddess. We're gonna talk about that. One of the ways I reconnect to the earth is by every 2 to 3 months, I take a shroom trip. But if you have any fear or anxiety, do not try it. Don't try it. If you live, I mean, everybody has a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, but you have a lot. If you live your life based on fear, if you're always anxious, don't do it. But, and then always have a monitor with you. Have somebody with you who's not doing anything so that they can watch you. Make sure you don't hurt yourself or do anything crazy. Right. And most of the time you're not. But shroom trips, I mean, you got to make sure you get some good grade A ones because a lot of crap out there. Some crap out there too, like anything. But shrooms are not addictive, so that's one of the reasons why I prefer shrooms. And but like my last shroom trip, I literally felt the entire planet, like every element of the planet, and I wasn't feeling it as a human, like with my emotions. It was as if I was existing as different aspects of the earth. Like I felt the instinctive nature and the aspect of an alligator and being an alligator, but without human thoughts, without human emotions. So it was like how an alligator truly exists. And they exist in complete unity with nature, as everything else does. Humans are the only ones that don't. So that would be my second level thing to try. But I'm not advocating it. Just go ahead for the record. Y'all all heard me. I'm not advocating it. Oh, great subject there, Texas Goddess. Please share your thoughts on poly relationships. And to me, there are two kinds of poly relationships. And really, Texas Goddess, on my TikTok channel, I have a TikTok channel called The Art of Tantric Love. I want you to go, if you're on TikTok, join that channel. I do also have that on YouTube. Join that channel as well. That's where I'm really going to talk a lot more about relationships and on those. And I got a Facebook group called The Art of Tantric Love. So The Art of Tantric Love on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. I can't do lives on YouTube yet because I don't have enough subscribers, but I can start doing them on TikTok and Facebook, and I will. So poly relationships. For those who don't know, I'm pretty sure you know, a poly relationship is where you have more than two people in a relationship. All right. Now, poly is when you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend in the relationship. So you have your main person, but then the woman may have a boyfriend, the man may have a girlfriend, but everybody knows. See, most people are in poly relationship, they just don't know it. The other one is polygamy. This is where a man has multiple wives, or a woman, and I think it's pronounced polygamy or something like that. A woman has more husbands. Personally, I'm fine with either one. As long as everybody is in agreement, I'm perfectly fine with either one. You know, I think that most people, most Americans or Western thinkers get caught up in the sex aspect of it and not recognizing the financial part of it. You know, to me, the financial and the emotional support is way more important than the sexual aspects of a polygamous or poly relationship. The thing is that, let me put it like this. So like I was invited into a poly relationship with one young lady I was dating back in 2018. But my problem wasn't being in a poly relationship. My problem was that she didn't want all of us in the same house. And as a man, I'm going to end up paying for both houses. I'm just not doing that. That doesn't make sense. Because I'm sorry, I'm typing in the website for the Cigar Lounge on Facebook, YouTube, and I'm messing up. So I'm not going to pay for two households. That defeats the whole purpose of the financial aspects of the, So why do it? It's not something you should do. If you're going to do it, do the whole thing. And then the emotional support. Let's be real. For all my gentlemen, all my dudes on here, all the men, there are certain aspects of emotional support that you are just incapable, for the most part, of providing for a woman. But you know who can? Another woman. And if you're in a poly relationship, you have to be able to, the man has to be, you have to be able to develop a sisterhood between the women. Doesn't necessarily mean the women are sexual together. One of my guys, he's in a poly relationship. His two wives are not sexual with one another. They are only sexual with him. So you don't have, that doesn't mean that the women are intimate with each other, but you have to be able to, but those women support each other emotionally though. Right? And I've seen it. I've watched them. I know things about them that other people don't know. And I've watched these women support each other. And I've watched these women support each other in ways that he cannot, that he has failed in supporting them. So they kept this in-house. And if you think about it, when you are, and some people say, oh, well, the woman should just have friends. Just have your friends, your girlfriends or whatever. Well, your girlfriends are giving you advice based on the experiences that they're having outside your house. Whereas your sister wife is having experiences inside your house, and she's giving her support and her advice based on what's happening inside your house, not based on what's happening outside her house. Because when we're in here and we're having these relationship conversations, you can tell based on the advice that a lot of the guys, or based on the things that a lot of guys say, that they've been hurt by this woman, that woman, that woman. Or some of the women, they've been hurt by this man, that man, that man. And so when they're talking to somebody else, they're coming from that perspective of the hurt that they received from the man and the personality that they dealt with, or the woman and the personality they dealt with, not realizing that the person they're talking to never had those experiences. So they're not experiencing their man that way. So their guidance is jaded, is biased. But if you're all in the same house, that other person has seen the dynamics of the house. They know what's going on in the house. So they are going to give that advice based on what they've seen in your house. Kiki said, I could do polygamy, but I don't know if I wouldn't act right. I mean, you're not going to always be happy. There's going to be some disagreements, and you're going to have some, there is levels of jealousy. But like in one of my friends, one of his wives was talking about how before she got into a polygamous relationship, she didn't like receiving flowers. So he never gave her flowers. But the other wife liked receiving flowers. But after a while, watching her get flowers, seeing the happiness and all that, she started wanting flowers. He then had to make the adjustment of giving her flowers as well. But she felt that way a little bit, You say you just don't like sharing, and that's a lot of people don't like sharing, and that's fine. That's fine. I could be in a polygamous relationship where I have other wives. I couldn't be in a polygamous relationship where there's me and another dude and there's a wife. I just can't. It's just not going to work for me. Just my personality wouldn't allow it. Believe it, man. God is despicable as a textbook narcissist. What are your thoughts? I agree. The God of the Bible and the Quran and are narcissistic. Very. Most religions, the God is very narcissistic. It's all about them. Do you plan to update your? Yes, I will be updating the popcorn site. I know Popcorn Papa. I go to him. So you must be in Dallas, Texas, goddess. I am actually. I just started a photography company. I'm not the photographer. Well, I do take some pictures because I do love photography, but we will be updating a lot of the pictures for both the websites through the photography company. Most dudes only like poly when they're the only man. Of course. And it gets kind of selfish. No, it's not. Because if a woman has two husbands, is she being selfish? And one of the people that I deal with, she has two husbands. She's not being selfish to the extent where it's outside towards everybody else. She's selfish in that, ooh, I'm sweating a little bit. She's selfish in the sense that she's doing what she wants. And those men are doing what they want. So it's not selfish because everybody's just doing what they want. Now, if somebody's in a poly relationship and they don't want to be, then that's selfish. That's not right. Kiki said, I will make breakfast, clean up, and stay gone all day. That's fine. You know, the thing about a poly relationship, they all don't look the same. It's all based on the 3, 4, 5 people involved. You know, you do it however it fits you, you know. So you make it work for yourself. You know, Popcorn Papa. Yep. I'll be in Texas in March, but I'm going to San Antonio. I won't be going now. My son graduating from the Air Force boot camp. But yeah. And there's another poly group that I know where one wife stays at home and she takes care of the house, and the husband and the other wife, they have corporate jobs. They go work all day at their corporate jobs. And when I tell you they hooked. They are financially good. God dog. And they have all kind of different things and measures set up in order to make sure that everybody's happy, everybody feels provided for, everybody's taken care of. If one of them die, if there are insurance policies on everybody for everybody, you know, the bank accounts are all shared. They utilize my budget. The way I met them is they heard about my budget program. They utilize my budget program in order it's regardless of who makes the money, they all have, you know, fair share in the money. So it's not like somebody has to ask anybody for money, you know. So because they value the work that the one that stays at home does, because there are children involved and taking care of the house. I've always respected what it takes for anybody to be a house, you know, a house husband, housewife. It's shit ain't easy. And I have to say house husband because one of the guys who come to my popcorn shop, his wife is a doctor. He was a basketball coach until she became a doctor, and then he took care of the boys at home. So he runs the house. But she respects the hell out of her man, though. So it's not because money ain't got nothing to do with leadership. I seriously thought about putting myself out there for a poly relationship. I never really acted on it though. I ain't gonna lie. Until the young lady that I'm dating right now. Well, so I was in a relationship then, and we had talked about poly, but I realized she couldn't do it. She wasn't mature enough to do it. I was going to just go into a poly relationship. But a young lady that I had befriended, and we had became friends over the last year, we started dating. And so I was like, it's not something, see, for me, it's not something I have to have, but it's something I'm open to. So I was thinking the same way. I don't have to have it, but I'm open. I was open to it. So like if she ever came to me and she was like, well, I was listening to you about this poly stuff and I think I want to try it. Then we would have a long discussions, multiple discussions about it before we would do it. And because I want to make sure that there is that level of maturity involved in doing it. Women be sharing men when they have 3 or 4 baby mamas. The only difference is they don't know that they don't all live in the same household. Exactly. I do not want to mess up your name. Is it Amria or Armia? Armia? Armaya? Brown. I'll call you Brown because I'm gonna mess up that name for some reason. Oh, yeah. And a lot of people they're existing in a poly, just don't know it. So why not know it and then, you know, build this financial fortress? You know what I'm saying? Air am I? 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 If I said it right, let me know. Aramai. Tell us what your poly relationship would look like. What would long talk consist of? I guess I walked myself right on into that trap. Single people be dating around that poly. Yeah. All right. So, uh, Jesus. So, if I was going to be in a poly relationship, I haven't thought about it in a minute. But first thing I would okay, so like let's say if am I starting from the person I'm dating now, or am I starting from scratch? You know, because there's a little bit of a difference. But in either case, the I would have to make sure that the women get along, that they form a sisterhood with one another, because that sisterhood that the two women form are more important than the individual relationship I have with them two. We would have to establish, you know, are the women intimate with each other or are they not? And if they're not, we would have to get on a schedule of ensuring that everybody gets the time that they need, because some people like having a lot of like what I would want to know what each one of them love languages are, you know. And if like quality time is not important to one person, they may not require as much as my time as the other person. But I would still try to give them, I would still want to set a schedule up where they each have equal time, where I am like, if they don't want to be intimate with each other and just have a sisterhood, where I'm spending quality time alone with each one of them to the extent of what their quality time requirements are. Same thing with physical touch, same thing with gifts, same thing with words of affirmation. Understanding their love languages and making sure that I provide for each one of their love languages would be the first and most important thing. Well, it will be the second most important thing, because them having a sisterhood relationship is the most important thing. I would also make sure that they understand that when there are disagreements, we do not yell, fuss, fight. We do not call each other out of our names. That we will have a civilized discussion about it, and we will discuss it together if it involves everybody or individually. And if there is a third party that needs to be joined in, it will be that other person within our relationship, because they know what's going on in the relationship. We would define how we want to live as far as the standard of our living. Do we want to live in a big old house? Do we want to live in a condo? Like, how do we want to live? How much traveling do we want to do? How much out dating and outing that we want to have? And based on that and all the monies that's coming in, there is no, this is your money, this is my money, this is your money. It is all the money. I do everything on what I call a 70-10-10-10 budget. 70%, well, before you give the 70%, we decide how much of and people hate when I use this word, but I don't care, how much of an allowance each person wants to have for the month. So let's say there's enough money that each person can have $800 a month to do whatever they want. Doesn't matter, wherever you want. I'm buying cigars and playing golf. You want to go take a glass blowing class. You got your money, go do it. But things like their hair, nails, I cut my own hair, but all the personal group, that's within the 70% budget. So 70% of our household that's why you got to find out how you want to live, because only how you want to live. Sorry about that TikTok. Sorry. 70% of our household, our mortgage, utilities, health, gas, cars, insurances can never go outside of 70% of the income that comes in the house. And then 10% goes into investment, 10% goes into savings, and then 10% goes into fun money. Fun money is what all three of us would go have fun with. Doesn't have anything to do with your personal allowance money that you get, and we all get an equal personal allowance money regardless of who makes what. We all get an equal amount of that. That way, finances are not a problem in the house. So we're not going to have any financial bickering. And if one person makes vastly more than everybody else, then that person has to be okay with that. If they can't be okay with that, they don't need to be in a relationship. Because I don't air. I said it right. Air. I don't care if my lady makes more money than me. I care less. Shit, make more money than me. That means that we just gonna have a stronger financial foundation. Please make more money than me. You know. Um, Thank you, Kenneth. But and Texas. So we would have that discussion about the finances, about the quality time spent together, about the intimacy. Um, Everybody, the women have to be friends with each other. I have to like both of them. We have to make sure that we will have those deeper conversations. And I want to know your deep stuff. I want to know all your traumas too, because when we start, if we have an issue, oftentimes your issues are coming off of traumas you've had before. So we want to make sure that those things that when we're having discussion, we want to be able to identify where this issue is coming from. Why are you assuming that we would only be three? There would only be three of y'all. I'm just using the easy one. It might be four. It might be five. However many the number. We just gonna make sure it regardless of the number, it fits into my own little algorithm here. So however many it is, we're gonna function in a unit like that. You might come home for your birthday, so you definitely come out. You better. Where you at? Where are you right now? And I knew. Yeah, you told me before Atlanta was that you're from here. But I mean, that's pretty much how. Those are the initial conversations. Of course, there's a lot of detail that we got to go through in order to make that work. And that's why conflict resolution has to be like a vital part of understanding this thing. And if anybody ever wants out, there'll be something written, a contract written that will define if a person wants out of this relationship, how they would leave, what they would leave with, and then the whole process. Because people change. Change is a constant of the universe. Oh, you're in Raleigh. Cool. Because people can change. They could get into it and find out they don't like it, that they don't want to be in it. So we would have to have things in place that if somebody decides to leave, how that transition is going to happen. And hopefully it happens peacefully. If we have good conflict resolution, then it will happen peacefully. Please upload this live, especially a poly. I'm in an open relationship, and poly is the end goal. And your advice is very much needed. I appreciate that. Well, this video will be uploaded to the YouTube. I don't. So, what I could do or might do, it's gonna take some time, is download this video, edit it so that just the poly part is a single video. Actually, I probably would do that. But go to my either YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook group, The Art of Tantric Love, and that's where I'll most likely upload it on this YouTube as well. Poly is like Death Row Records. What do you mean by that one? I'm curious. By poly is like Death Row Records, but you can't get out. Once you death row, you in it for life. You in this joint for life. Oh, I'm mad. I wanted a cup of coffee, but this is gonna have to slice. It'll take me all day, if not until tomorrow, to drink this thing. Do I know which state allow poly legally? None of them. There's no state in America that allows for poly. Utah kind of like let it slide, but you still don't have any legal rights. Oh, no way out? Ain't no way out? Okay, I thought that's what you meant. But there are like I plan. So like for me, if I get into a poly relationship, one of the first things and that's why you got to find out what a person's requirements are. There is absolutely no way. Now that my son is going off to the Air Force, within the next 3 years, I'll probably move to the Virgin Islands for a little while. or Puerto Rico. After the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we're moving to Africa. And there are a lot of African countries where poly is very legal. There, Gambia, Zimbabwe, I think Botswana is legal. I think Rwanda is legal. Ghana. There's a lot of countries where it's legal. But so if I'm in it, so and I do that even in dating, like on that first conversation. Do you have to live in America for the rest of your life? Because I am going to leave. I'm going to go to the islands first, and then I'm going to Africa. And we could get in a relationship, and I'll tell them, we could be in a relationship, we could be married. When it's time to go, I'm leaving. A marriage won't keep me in America. My peace of not living in this country is more important than my peace in a relationship. So I would never date or be in a relationship with a woman who cannot leave this country. It's just not going to work. So I just cut it off before any emotions begin to take effect. We could be friends, and I might like you as a friend, and I might be like, damn, I wish I could date her. That'd been great to date her. Ugh, why won't she leave here? But I'm never going to try to convince her to leave. I'm not going to try to change her mind, because there's no way she's going to get to that other country and then one day throw in my face and say, well, you know, the only reason that I'm here, the only reason I'm in this country is because I want to be here with you. Nah, sister girl. You came here because you said that in the beginning you wanted to leave. Because I am a very literal person. I'm going to take you for exactly your word. Yeah. You have to go, but you have to come back. Don't worry. You ain't going to miss that much, Devin, because we getting off here in a few minutes. Texas guy that said, Coach, why move to an island first? And for those who've been following me for a while, y'all know I am incredibly transparent, right? I'm not embarrassed about anything in my life. So I had about a good 8-9 bad years of business in a row. I got behind on child support, and I do not have a passport. That is the only reason why I would go to the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico, because those, other than a cruise ship, that's the only places that I can go. And at least the time I spent there as a black man, I didn't get treated with all the racism that I get in this country. So that is the only reason why my first stop would be the Caribbean, because it's going to take probably another 3 years at the long way. At my current pace of payment, it's going to take me about 3 years, 3.5 years to finish. Now, of course, if I can make bigger payments in the near future, I can get it done faster. As soon as that's done, we're going to start the 1-year plan to get the hell on. But that's the only reason. Otherwise, I wouldn't even make a Caribbean stop. It's straight to Africa. And that's Sub-Saharan Africa. And it's got to be a place where it's industrialized, because that sounded funny, industrialized, which most don't let them fool you about Africa. Africa is very industrialized, very modern. But yeah, I gotta go. And the fact is, I got a couple of African guys who come in here. They validate that the business opportunities in Africa for a black person is better than they are here. So I'm out. Kiki says she planned to move too. Well, we feel like the USA is it because most people are that way. Your family is from Ghana, Cape Coast. Man, I don't know why you're here, Dwayne. Y'all need to go back. Ghana is about to blow up in the next like 10 years. It's going to blow up. When they get back to that gold standard, they're gonna blow up. Their dollar is going to be so valuable. The price that you can get houses and land for and start business for now in Ghana is going to dramatically increase when they get on that gold standard. If they're going to pay you, brother, and you can get out, get out. But what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. You plan to move. Oh, people. So Rome is on his way out too. People, you got to understand, most people will never leave the country that they're in because most people accept the misery that they have in their country. So most people are never going to leave. We look at the foreigners who come here and think that, you know, all these foreigners come to America and they're doing these businesses, they buy houses, they're doing this, they're doing. That's a very small percentage of the people from their home country that come here. So they have the same mentality that people have here. The people who are born here, they're going to stay here because it's the misery they know. It's the misery they can handle, you know. So they're going to stay. I'm going to trick my mom. If she gonna, I'm like, Mom, come visit me. Come on, just come visit for 30 days. And I'm like, you know what, Mom? Ain't no planes flying out no more. You stuck. You got to stay here with me. You can't go back no more. That's how I'm going to trick my mom to come and live there. I visited yearly since 2018. That's what's up. Yeah, Deborah. Yeah, you missed it. Of course, it's gonna get posted, but I was wondering where you were since you said something yesterday. There are so many Americans who are currently happily living. Yes, there are. There are quite a few Americans, but the diaspora is coming from everywhere too. It's coming from Europe. It's coming from South America. But there are plenty of Americans who have moved to Africa, and they're good. Let's see if we can get a couple more questions before I have to get out of here. I do have to open this lounge up and the popcorn shop because my employee doesn't get to work at the popcorn shop until about 2:30. Do you believe in a higher power? Yeah, I do believe that there is that I don't agree with evolution and the Big Bang in the way that science theorizes it to be. Um, I believe that there is an intelligence that created everything, but I don't believe that intelligence is Geppettoing everybody's life and sending down messiahs and making kings and judges and sending prophets and all these kinds of things. I think we are all aspects um, of that creative energy, and it is for us to wake ourselves up out of the poverty of this flesh body and our matter universe around us to realize that we are, you know, divine energetic beings who are capable, way more capable of everything that we're doing right now. That we just simply don't understand the fully how the universe functions, you know, in its frequencies and in its energy. But do I think that high power is placing all these judgments and all this kind of stuff? No, I don't believe in. I believe heaven and hell are states of mind that you manifest and create yourself. You can manifest heaven right now. Like right now, me doing these videos, this is heaven for me. I like to talk a lot. I like studying a lot. So to be able to talk about the things that I study is great. So therefore, this is heaven. Uh, when I took my son to drop him off to go to the Air Force, I was in heaven for a moment. And then when I actually left, I felt a little hell for a minute. Felt a little hell for a minute. I'm going to miss my boy, my little man child. I told him to stop calling him my boy. Now you're my man child. But yeah, come check us out at Cigar Lounge, Dwayne. But yeah, I believe there's a high power. I just don't think it's doing all this stuff. I think that if I'm wrong and there is a heaven, I think people are going to be very surprised at all the other people that's there. You're going to see me there. You're going to see a whole bunch of other people. Like, how they get here? They didn't believe in Jesus. They didn't believe in Allah. They didn't reincarnate 10,000 times. How the hell they got here? But will this earth end? Sure, it'll end when the sun gets too big and it burns the shit out the earth. That's when the earth is going to be over. Actually, it'll be over for that. Because we look at Venus, when the sun gets big enough, which is going to take billions of years for it to happen, then this will become a whole water vapor planet like Venus is. That's just science. Unless we, find the aliens and we go live with them. Oh, thank you, Kiki. I appreciate you. I adore you too, girl. I know you too. That's why you better come see. Now, Kiki, I'm telling you, you come to Atlanta and you don't come by, we're gonna have some problems. If you be like, oh, I got there, but I got so busy and I was running around and family and this and that. I'm gonna talk bad about you. Watch. Deborah said Jeffrey Dahmer got saved. That's true. I was in here and there was a Christian pastor in here. We was having a good discussion. And I told him, I said, now think about it, bro. Hitler believed in John 3:16. He believed he was Christian. He believed he was doing God's work. He fully believed that. Man's judgment says that he wasn't. But according to your book, how do you know? You can't make that judgment. So if you get there and he's standing next to you, you're gonna feel some kind of way. Where's your lounge? It's in Stone Mountain, Georgia. It's called Smoking Phoenix Cigars. There is a Phoenix Cigars on the south side of Atlanta. So don't get it confused because some people wind up going there. But it's Smoking Phoenix Cigars in Stone Mountain, Georgia. You're waiting on the aliens. That bricky, let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times, and I told people that I'm tired of being here on this planet. These earthlings are getting on my nerves. I'm waiting on the mothership to come get me because I know they left me. They forgot. They left me, and I've been reincarnating here until they come get me. I need them to come get me because I'm about tired of these earthlings. These earthlings getting on my nerves. These humans, ugh. So I need the mothership. Come get them, brother. Come get me up out this joint. I think I not served my punishment long enough of being on Earth. Because I don't understand humans sometimes. Yeah, it baffles my mind that you can be presented with objective evidence of things and yet still ignore it. That you can have basic stuff and still just ignore it. Okay, the popcorn shop is there too or nearby. Yeah, it's like 3 doors over. That's why I can let my employee come in at 2:30 because I can unlock the door, put a sign on the door, say call this number if you need help, and I just run down there. You feel me, wrong? Ready to go, right? Tired of these humans. We have this fear of a one world government because of religion. But you know how many wars that would eliminate if we had one world government? Because most wars are fought over religion, women, and resources. Primary and resources is the big one. If we was one world, then we're not fighting over resources anymore. So that would end a lot of war. That would end a lot of tension. Why do I believe that there's a higher power? Everything in nature is so succinctly perfect except for humans that work with one another, that I believe that that's done through an intelligent design. The fact that as the hermetic, if you ever read the Kabbalion talks about the law of mentalism, that all creations first starts as a mental creation in your mind. As for instance, when you dream, you are literally creating an entire universe in your mind. And for all intents and purposes, you yourself believe that you are existing in that dream. And everything in that dream, every entity in that dream believes that they are existing in that dream. This is why the law of mentalism, and when it talks about the all, it says that everything is, even the Bible talks about how it's a blink of an eye as far as time, because time is not real. Time is relative. For instance, one of the dreams that I had last night, that dream, the time space of that dream, the time space of the dream, the literal time space that I exist today on this planet, that dream was probably only according to Sleep Number Bed, about 30 minutes, right? But everything that happened in that dream happened over a decade. It was a decade of stuff happened in my dream last night. To everything that existed in that dream, it existed for that decade. It existed. It believed it existed. I woke up, while I was asleep, I believe I was existing and experiencing those things. So I think the creative energy that we could possibly just be a dream, how they say that we're a simulation, we could possibly just be a dream of this creative energy. We're somebody's dream right now. All right. But yeah, religion is all about controlling people's mind. So because of nature and because of my consciousness, I believe that there is a higher consciousness. Now, I could be wrong. That's why I say I believe, because it will never be proven. You cannot. Well, I ain't gonna say it will never be proven, but it's unlikely that it will be proven anytime soon. So you have to visit when you come out there to Black Wall Street. It's nice. Black Wall Street is nice. Now, if you're gonna go to Black Wall Street, that's about 20 minutes away from my shops. Man has misunderstood what God is. God is not some supreme entity sitting on the throne somewhere watching over his or her creation. God is the entirety of existence itself. Right. And that's one of the reasons why, like, even though I read books, I don't always accept everything that a book says. Even if the majority of the book I like the Kabbalion, I accept the majority of it, but some things the Kabbalion say, I'm like, nope, I don't agree with. But it talks about that. We said that all is in all. The all is all. The all is all, but all is not the all. Because is this an existence of the all, a piece of the all? Yes, but it's not the consciousness of the all, because the all can never not be itself. It would always know itself. It cannot ever be less than itself or more than itself, but just purely itself. So therefore, this may be a part of the all, but it's not the all, because this would then have the consciousness of the all. So therefore, all is not the all. And so I agree. It's the entirety of existence. Everything is a part of it, but everything is not it. You know, that's why you don't hear me running around screaming that I am God, 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 because I'm not. I am not the creator of all. I am not the supreme entity. Am I a piece of it that has a higher consciousness than this piece of plastic? Yes. And when I did, if you was here earlier, when I did my last shroom trip, I came to a deeper understanding of that by existing as an alligator, an octopus, a deer, a blade of grass, lava, a mountain, rocks, everything. The level of their consciousness, there is a consciousness, but it is so much less complex than our consciousness. It doesn't think like we think. It doesn't have the battle between emotion, instinct, and critical thinking. It only has instinctive thoughts, which is why there are, like, how we have brain patterns. Not patterns, not the word I'm looking for. The same way our brains, the synaptics in our brain, we have it in our heart. We have some of those synaptics we have in our heart. Some synaptics we have in our stomach, and some synaptics we have in our genital area. This is why we have our critical thought, our emotional thought, our gut thinking, and then our gut thinking, our instinctive thinking, and then our sexual instinctive thinking. But those thinkings are just doing what they're supposed to do. They're natural tendencies. But as higher complex beings, we have a deeper. We can account for all of that to come to a critical thought. Some of us don't, which is why we do dumb shit. Like we over emotionalize a situation, and that's when we say we're acting out of emotion, because we did not allow our critical thinking to truly decipher what was going on in our emotional thinking. I agree with that, and that's me too. Except what my spirit agrees with in books and people's views. Yeah. Just like I tell people, I don't want nobody to fully agree with me. I might look at you a little sideways if you agree with everything I say, because then you're not taking your own personal journey. Said ET was about us getting left behind. Yep, they left me behind. Okay. Oh man, on one of my shroom trips about 6 months ago, I just traveled to all these alien civilizations, just going to one, going to another, going to another. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening in that trip, but that was one of the things that was very interesting. And like, I was seeing all these different civilizations, and they were very different from. I've never seen these before. Yes, I like Star Trek and all that kind of stuff, but I've never seen these civilizations. They were completely different from anything I've ever seen in any sci-fi. But it was cool as shit. And again, I'm not advocating that anybody take a shroom trip. That's me, not you. All right. Y'all should check out Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. When he talks about his shroom trips, it's interesting. How have mushroom trips changed you? They've enlightened me more. They've increased my focus. Um, they've helped me even more so to uh, deal with the different neural pathways of thought that come from the different, if you want to call them chakras, or areas of my body, of my thinking. I don't do things that I used to do. Um, I will say the first reason I started, because of things that happened in the military with PTSD, was one of the first reasons why I tried shrooms, and they've helped me to really contextualize and distance my. I know those things happen. I can experience those things. I experience those things, but it's helped me to disassociate myself with reliving those things. So it's really helped me greatly with PTSD. Uh, and I didn't have a PTSD where I just want to somebody pop off something and I'm ducking under the table or nothing like that. It's just it's other stuff, uh, more inside things with PTSD inside me. Uh, but it's helped me deal with those things. But it helped me realize where I've made huge mistakes and how I should have been and how I should have acted and how I could have fixed them. And even if I wanted to fix them today, how I can. Because I actually believe in true repentance, where you actually go and fix an issue instead of just saying, "Oh, please forgive me." No, you fix the goddamn issue. If I wrecked your car, I'm gonna get. I mean, here's my car until I can get your car fixed. Kind of thing. Have I tried ayahuasca? Let me tell you something. A long time ago, when I was younger, I was 21. I tried ayahuasca, didn't know I was trying, and that's when I stopped fearing death. That was the first time I really, really, like, I didn't fear death, but I kind of still was holding on to some of the Christianity stuff when I was 21. But that is when I let it all go, and I no longer feared death. I realized there's no such thing as heaven and hell. When I was 21, when I tried ayahuasca, but I was so much younger, and I didn't do it the way I would do it now. And I'm so mad because there's a friend that I ain't gonna say friend. There's a because I take the word French friend to means a lot more than most people. But I there's a group that I know, and they're going to do an ayahuasca trip, but the country they're going to, I can't go because I don't have a damn passport. But if I did, I would be doing ayahuasca in March. Right? Yeah, I love the hermetic principles as well. I actually balance it. I kind of like, I don't know if the word balance is correct, but anytime I'm looking at most philosophies or religions or anything like that, the hermetics is what I compare them to the hermetics. Natural law should be the sole form of governing life. And I agree 100%. Because think about it, with natural law, you can't subjugate women. You can't subjugate people. In order to manifest anything in creation, you have to have a balance between the masculine and the feminine. So without that balance of the masculine and the feminine, then you cannot have um, a clean manifestation. This is why a lot of people's things that they're trying to manifest don't come out, don't happen, or it half-ass happen, because there's either too much femininity or there's too much masculinity. You don't have a balance in it, so therefore you don't manifest. What you manifest is not where it really should be. That's the only reason why I wear this, as a balance, to show to remind myself to always balance my masculine and feminine, so that my manifestations come out clean. And I'm not perfect at it, but I'm getting pretty damn good. Why you don't have a passport? I guess you didn't hear me earlier. 9 bad years of business, got behind in child support, don't have a passport. 3.5 years, I have a passport or less. And then I'm getting the hell on. Going to Africa, And I'm only coming back to visit my family, and that's it. I've already convinced my kids that they don't want to live here either. And yes, I convinced them without convincing them, if that makes any sense. I just talked about it so much that none of my kids want to live in America. So other than my mom and my brother and sister, I ain't coming here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get the global access one too. Yeah, I want to make sure I can go wherever I want to go, because there's a lot of Earth to see. So I might as well go see it. Since I'm stuck here, I might as well go see this damn thing. See what it got. All right, I said I was going to end this. You can't like talking while you still got smoke in your mouth is not a good thing if you ever smoke cigars. No. But there's a. I was going to end this at 11:30, but y'all done suckered me into 11:51. I have to open the lounge at 12, and I don't do lives while people are here unless it's on my cigar channel. Then I'll do a live for that one. Actually, I haven't done a live on the cigar channel, but we're gonna start doing those on the cigar channel as well. Of course, those will be about cigars and whatever other crazy whatever the crazy conversations that we have in here. Okay, let's see. We got enough time for a couple more conversations. You need my shroom plug? Where are you, Papa Soul Searcher? Where are you located? Because I would have to find out from them. I have two, and I have to find out from them how they feel about shipping stuff before I give any of their information out. Because both mine are local here in Atlanta, so I have to talk to them about shipping how they feel about that. Both of them have some, depending on how much you want to spend. Now, shroom trips are not cheap. Let me tell you right off the bat, they're not cheap. Some mid-grade stuff will cost you about $40 for like 3.5 to 4 grams. Some premium stuff will cost you about $80, and that's one trip. Well, 4 grams is one trip for me. 3 grams might be one trip for you, and then you got to figure out what is enough for you. I have a high tolerance level. Like, these jokers be trying to get me to drink liquor in here and think that I'm gonna get drunk, but I never do. One day I drink 5 pours of bourbon and it ain't do shit. So, which makes drinking liquor not a expense that I'm willing to pay for something that I don't get the benefits. Where you at, Papa? I need to know that before I get off here so I can ask them. Oh. Is that Caboose? Caboose 55? You on your way out too? I know so many people are leaving. I'm telling y'all, you gotta get out of this country. And the opportunity, like Ghana just reopened their their return, their diaspora return. They just reopened that. Have you tried Phenibut? Nope, I don't even know what it is. I'm not big on a lot of stuff. Shrooms, cigars, and wine. That's about it. No, haven't tried anything else. All the other stuff, weed, don't like it. Liquor, don't particularly care for that. What's up, Timeless? I'm good. Smart drag. I'll look it up. But if it's not natural, I wouldn't try it. I don't try anything that's not natural. Only time I will drink some liquor sometimes, certain cigars. Well, I mean, all cigars go very well with liquors. So but there are certain cigars for me that a nice bourbon or a whiskey or this whiskey bourbon blend, the cigar, it like brings out notes in the cigar that you really can't get without it. So most of the time I drink wine and coffee. Well, most of the time I drink water, but wine and coffee with a cigar. Smart drug. Hmm. So it's supposed to increase your. I did get some teachers. These shrooms called teachers in uh, the other day, and they're supposed to help you. What you're supposed to do with those is focus on, write and focus on what you want to learn before you do them, and then do them, and it's supposed to help you move you fast forward into learning whatever that is. So I'll be trying those probably within the next few couple of weeks. You know, since my last trip was in December, I'll probably do it in February. We got 4 minutes, people. 4 minutes. Then I got to go. Oh, but they're Russians with astronaut with anxiety. Okay, I'll look that up. Kenneth said the point of physical life is to learn, grow, accept yourself, both light and darkness. I was just talking about that in the lounge the other day. Choosing the light, but while not being afraid of the darkness when it is needed. Um, Darkness, yeah, when it is needed. Exactly. People are trying to run from the shadow self. No, embrace your shadow self. You need your shadow self. There are times where you need that thing. When people like, if you challenge my information, I don't have a problem with that. But when you make personal attacks, oh, my shadow self is coming out, and you gonna catch it. You gonna catch all the hell. You know, when people like in my lounge, the N word and the B word are not accepted. You know, so we can be having ha ha he good time, but then like this one joker want to use that B word, and 30% of my people coming here are women. I, Everything like we stopped, the brakes hit, and everybody in the here who was here, they were regulars, so they know how I am about it. So everybody was like, "Oh no, bro, we're not doing that." We had like all the fun stopped for a brief moment, and then we went back to the happiness because now, or if you try to hurt my kids, hurt my family, or people that I care about, my friends, nah, you about to catch all the hell. So your shadow self is not something to run from. And then that's just the outside shadow self stuff. You got your deeper inward shadow self stuff that you have to deal with. That's about you. Like your third eye is blocked by you not accepting. I mean, your third eye is blocked. No, not your third eye. Think about your throat chakra. Your throat chakra is blocked by the lies that you tell yourself. Okay. So your shadow self will tell you things about you, will give you that fear, give you that anxiety, cause you to work more in your lower chakra than you should. And because of that shadow, because you're allowing it, if you allow it to persist, you wind up negating your ability to shine. You're in DC, I find out. You negate that. So you have to learn how to deal with your shadow self to know when it's doing you right, and when it's doing you wrong. When it's telling you something about yourself that might be true. And if that's true about who you are, then and you desire for it to change, then you use that information from your shadow self to make that change. Right? Oh, thank you, Thomas. You use that to make that change. There were things about myself, my younger self, that I didn't like, but I tried to ignore it and instead of dealing with it. And then I just took the time to deal with it. And then as I dealt with it, I grew out of it, right? To where it's managed, it's controlled. You know, for example, how can I put this without getting in trouble? So I did a job in the military that caused me that I did a job in the military where sometimes it calls for infidelity. Okay. Now, after I got out of that unit, and well, after I got out of the military, because I ended my career in that unit, in that type of unit, because I went to 2 of those units, I had a difficult time adjusting to not taking advances and opportunities. My cigar channels are Smoking Phoenix Cigars on no matter what channel you look at, no matter if it's Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok. It took time. And I really had to dig deep in myself, and because I started justifying it by what I wasn't getting. But I realized that I was just justifying it and lying and saying that this is something I had to have, but it's just a habit that I had created through the job that I was doing. And so I started justifying it even when I was outside of that job. So I had to get within myself to deal with the fact and the truth of it, so that I could cut that part of myself out of my life, so I can grow out of that, because it wasn't a part of who I was in the beginning, but it became a part of who I was because of the environment that I was in. Sorry for the typos using text talk while I drive. Man, I hate text talk while I drive. It hardly ever gets stuff right. I'm in Georgia coming to visit your shop. Come on, Rome. Wait, are you in Rome? Rome, Georgia? Got a couple people from Rome, Georgia come down here. Well, come on through, man. Be more than happy. Let me know when you're coming, though, so that I make sure that I'm here, because I'm not always here. Mondays and Tuesdays are the days that I possibly may or may not be here, or if they're having an event or something I got to go to, like my sister's birthday next month. No, that's this month. She's having a birthday shenanigans. Oh, you're in Atlanta. Man, I'm in Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain. 54 Strickland Road and Rockbridge on the corner. So, all right, peoples, it's 12:02. Cigar lounge should be open. Popcorn shop should be open, but they're not, because I'm still sitting here talking. So therefore, we're going to end this one. And so next week, we're going to continue with Genesis chapter 41 and 42. But I'm also going to do some lives on a few other subject matters starting next week. And if you're not on my only on TikTok, I can do lives. I think I might be able to do it on my live. I know on Facebook I can do it live in the group called The Art of Tantric Love. So we're just going to talk about relationships. So the Art of Tantric Love, we're going to do. There'll be lives on there. I'm going to check my YouTube one. I don't think I have enough subscribers to do live on YouTube for that channel yet. Well, I know I don't. You have to have 1,000. But join me for those. Subscribe to whatever channel you need to subscribe to. Hell, subscribe to all of them. Facebook just timed out because my phone ran out of power and I wasn't paying attention. So my other phone. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration. And we are opening up the shop 5 minutes late.